Folks, this is a Oklahoma weather alert right around just after 6:45 here now on this Friday evening. How's it going, everyone? William Cole here live in the Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV Forecast Center. And folks, we've been tracking this winter mess really all across Oklahoma as we've gone throughout the day today, and now also in eastern Oklahoma, ongoing flooding across that part of the state. We're going to check in with Phillip McGee. He's up near the Four Corners region, just to the northwest of the Oklahoma City Metro, see what's going on there. And then we're also going to check in with Derrick James in eastern Oklahoma, get an update of some flooding going on around the McAllister area coming up here in just a second. First of all, the live watch and warning map here. This is what you need to know right now. And all the counties you're seeing there in pink, that is an ice storm warning that does continue for really all of western Oklahoma, right back into parts of central Oklahoma, the Oklahoma City Metro, Norman, even down through Lawton. Again, ice storm warning in effect really as we go through the overnight period. And then across parts of eastern Oklahoma, where you're seeing all those green counties, those are flood warnings that do continue, and even a flash flood warning that does continue for McCurtain County there in far southeastern Oklahoma, right around the Lake Broken Bow area, with nearly 5 inches of rain that has fallen so far, really within the last 24 hours. Again, that's right down in here with that to Aquacolor County. So again, extremely heavy rain. It does continue across parts of eastern Oklahoma. So again, the flooding threat will continue there as well. So as we take a look at live mesoscan radar, this is what's going on now. Here's what you need to know with the colors. Where you're seeing this band of purple right here, this is freezing rain ongoing. Now this is from southwestern Oklahoma all the way up into parts of the Oklahoma City Metro. As you look out to the west, you're seeing a little bit of pink up around the Woodward area. This is some light freezing drizzle, maybe a little bit of light sleet mixed in up across this part of the state, and then some light snow showers out in the western Oklahoma panhandle. Now across eastern Oklahoma, this is just as big of a weather story today. It's all this rain. Look at all this rain that continues all across eastern Oklahoma, again with ongoing flooding. Rainfall amounts anywhere from 2, 3, 4 to nearly 5 inches of rain has fallen across parts of eastern Oklahoma. And again, most of the rivers, most of the creeks in eastern Oklahoma are now above or going over their banks, and again, that's why we do have all those river flood warnings in effect for parts of eastern Oklahoma. So let's go and zoom in the radar here. We're going to start in first of all here in central Oklahoma. We're going to talk about this wintry mix, and again, like I mentioned, where you're seeing the purple right there, that is all freezing rain, and it does continue. Let me go and zoom in the radar here just a little bit closer. Really all of Oklahoma County, again, where you're seeing that purple, freezing rain does continue. So really from the Edmond area right back down through Oklahoma City, all the way back down through Moore, also Norman now included as well. Freezing rain in progress. Chickasha to the southwest down towards the Lawton Metro. Again, freezing rain also continues there as well. Out I-40. I-40 is a complete mess right now. There's a lot of glaze on I-40. Again, so really any kind of travel this evening, I mean, basically the bottom line is really no travel is recommended at all from the Oklahoma City Metro down through Lawton, and of course locations to the east as well, even up near the Stillwater area. Again, I know the big Bedlam game tomorrow. We're going to talk more about that here in a second, but some freezing precipitation going on even around the Stillwater area now at this hour as well. But again, the main thing that of course we do want to underscore is, again, if you don't have to get out in this, if you don't have to drive, again, we recommend you just stay home this evening. It's Friday night. Just kind of take it easy and hang out. So we're going to take a look at those road conditions with Phillip McGee here in a second, right here in central Oklahoma. Now, as we zoom in the radar, this is a little bit of a different presentation. So what we looked at a second ago was really where the computer was estimating where the freezing rain line is. So what we've done, we've turned back just to live radar, and what we've done is we put on the live Mesonet air temperature. So these air temperatures, these numbers here, they literally update every 5 minutes. So these are truly live. We're comparing the live air temperatures with the radar data, and we're basically seeing the same thing. All of Oklahoma County right around 31 degrees. Keep in mind anything 32 and below, that's when you start getting that frozen precipitation. So definitely freezing rain all across Oklahoma County. Norman currently 32 degrees there. So again, ongoing, or really the transition zone from liquid to freezing here in Norman. And then look at Chickasha, also at 32, Minko at 30, and then the El Reno area at 29. So again, all this through here, also frozen precipitation as well. Now, Phillip McGee, he's really just on the northwestern sides of the Oklahoma City Metro. He's up around the Four Corners region. And Phillip McGee, this is your new night scope technology here as well. Tell us a little bit about that, and tell us where you are and kind of what you're seeing now this early evening.
For sure. I just looked behind me, and I know noticed that the salt and sanding trucks are out, and they're actively putting salt and sand down at all of the major Highway 74 and 33. So that being said, the roads currently are still passable. I would still say that people need to use caution, because one of the biggest things that we're going to have to deal with is that black ice. And so, it doesn't take long for you to slip on that, get your vehicle in a ditch, and create a lot of problems. That being said, I want to zoom in here real fast and show you another reason that, they have that ice storm warning out for us. It might take a little bit because there's about a 15-second delay on this camera. But what I'm showing is the ice that is actually built up on the highline poles. And so that's another thing that folks are going to have to worry about. There's still the possibility of power outages throughout the state of Oklahoma, where this ice is affecting everybody, basically, like you said, from Oklahoma City Metro West all the way up into the Oklahoma Panhandle. So a good thing, I had the chance to take a look at System Watch not too long ago. Earlier today, I think that they were up around the 7,000 mark as far as power outages in that area. That being said, I think that number has actually dropped down to about 2,500 now. So that's a good note for people. We were talking earlier as we were streaming out around the Watonga area today that people needed to take their winter precautions just in case they did lose power. So supply of water, extra blankets, an alternative form of light, flashlights or whatever, and a fully charged cell phone battery. So that being said, people still should probably go ahead and use those precautions tonight. This is supposed to last until tomorrow around the Bedlam game time frame, and I know that you said you were going to talk about that in a little bit. But just be weather-wise and use your driving skills. Use some common sense whenever you're out on the highways. And to back up what you said, if you don't have to take and be out on the roads tonight, stay at home. Enjoy some time with your family, and let this storm pass, and then things will start to get a little bit better in a couple of days.
Hey,
So
Phillip, let me ask you this real quick.
I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to you, William. This is Phillip McGee reporting live from Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV.
Hey, Phillip, great job. I really appreciate that. Let me ask you this real quick. You showed us the high lines there with the ice building up, right? So obviously freezing rain in progress. There's now ice forming on some of those power lines. Now, really, what happens is when you start getting ice building up on the power lines, that's a bad deal, number one. But normally it takes just a little bit of wind out there to kind of start whipping those power lines around. That's normally when you start getting power outages. Now, from where you are, Phillip, up there just to the northwest of the Oklahoma City Metro, winds today, they've been fairly breezy at times, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. As you're sitting there in your location, I didn't see the power lines moving much with that ice building up on them. But what would you say, where are the winds at your location? What would you guesstimate the current wind speeds to be?
I would say probably 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now, the particular line that I was looking at runs north and south, so it's not going to be affected by the winds. The winds are coming almost directly from the north. I'm looking out my driver's window, and the power lines are still kind of doing a little dance between the poles. So any east and west roads where that ice is accumulating on the power lines, that's going to be the ones that are going to be affected the most. And then anytime that anything goes down, of course, there's always collateral damage with that. Whether it'll blow a transformer or knock a pole down or whatever the case might be.
Absolutely, Phillip. Now, let me ask you one other thing here, just because as we're kind of looking at the roads, it looks like you're kind of starting to pull back out there a little bit. How are the road conditions? I know maybe about an hour and a half ago, Shane Duckworth, he was near the Mustang area. He was saying the roads were more wet than anything else, And of course, we still want to, really, everyone out there needs to exercise caution regardless of what the current road conditions are. But again, as you're getting back on the road, we see you driving there. Again, what are the road conditions like out there? Are you seeing much in the way of slick spots?
At this current time, I'm not seeing a lot of slick spots. I don't want people to get a false sense of security while they're out driving on these roads tonight. But I will say that most of these roads that I'm on right now, which has been 33 and then 74, I'm headed south now, back towards Oklahoma City. And those roads they're basically wet. Another thing that I'd like to mention too is the bridges and the overpasses are going to be a big area of concern, especially through the night hours.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. The bridges and the overpasses, for sure, those are always the first to go. I think we may have lost Phillip. I think there was a quick, there was an intermittent delay there. But bridges and overpasses, I mean, like Phillip said, for sure, those are going to be the first things to go. And keep in mind, as we go through the overnight period, we're going to have several hours of freezing rain. So even though the roads may be just a little bit on the wet side right now, I can promise you this, there's still going to be some black ice out there. If you get out there, there's still going to be the opportunity for black ice, which is bad. You can't see it. That's when you spin out or you're not able to stop one or the other. That's always a bad deal. But even as we go through the overnight period and there's an opportunity for more ice to build up, again, it's a bad deal overall. Anytime there's freezing rain, the best thing to do is just stay home and, again, watch it on TV, watch it on the internet, but again, don't get out in it. So we're going to take a look at ground temperatures here in a minute. Ground temperatures are actually a little bit still on the warmer side, so that may be helping some of those roadway surfaces. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. But again, Phillip McGee there in northwestern Oklahoma, or the northwestern sides of the Oklahoma City Metro, I should say. Great job. Really appreciate that right there. Now, I want to take a look at this real quick as well. This is from Shane Duckworth from Oklahoma Storm Chasers. This was a little earlier this evening. This was in Mustang, and this was that fire that was reported out there in Mustang. And we don't exactly know the cause of this, but there was you can see it there in the distance, a house fire in progress. And the one thing we want to underscore is, sometimes when we do get these wintry type weather events, sometimes you will lose power. And a lot of times, when people lose power, the one thing that kind of comes into mind is maybe bringing an open flame source into the house. And the one thing we definitely want to underscore is, do not bring an open flame source into the house. It's bad. We're not saying that's what here. We don't know the cause of this house fire here, but again, open flame sources, even if you do lose power, unfortunately, you don't want to do that. The best thing to do is if you do lose power, just try and bundle up, of course, OG&E and any of the other Oklahoma electric cooperatives out there. Of course, they're going to try and get power restored as quickly as possible. The good news is the power outages have actually gone down over the last couple hours. In fact, at one point in time, we were up to near 7,000 people without power. OG&E now reporting only 2,500 without power, so that's good right there as well. Now, the other thing I want to talk about eastern Oklahoma real quick here, and I want to switch the radar back around here. In fact, let me go and advance this one more time, and let's talk about eastern Oklahoma. And we have Derrick James on the line with us. He's also on the live line with us. And again, eastern Oklahoma, you folks over there, you've really seen anywhere from 3 to potentially 5 inches of rain here over the last 24 hours. I want to bring up these live rainfall amounts. And before we get to Derrick James here, these are live amounts here, right? So these rain gauges here, they're sampled every 5 minutes. But look at eastern Oklahoma. Look at all these locations over here within really the last 24 hours that have picked up 4 to nearly 5 inches of rain. Look at Lake Broken Bow there, almost 5.5 inches of rain, again, over the last 24 hours. So again, multiple ongoing flood warnings across this part of the state. Primarily, it's all river-type flood warnings, where rivers have basically just kind of come out of their banks, so to speak, or they're cresting very near the top of their floodplain. But again, ongoing flooding across this part of the state. And Derrick James, again, he's right there in McAllister. He's been driving around, taking a look at some of those roads. His stream, it was fairly dark. We had his stream earlier, but it's a little dark out there. Of course, it's after dark now. So let's just go ahead and bring him on the live line. And Derrick, tell us what you're seeing over there across parts of eastern Oklahoma as you've been out throughout the afternoon today.
Yes, William. I have been out and about since about noon looking at all the flooded, low-lying county roads in our area. And that's about it right now in my area. There is nothing but county roads and can't talk, the low-lying areas that are flooded. The roads inside the cities are fine. There is about minor to moderate street flooding, but that is just because of the leaves that have fallen that are clogging the drains. So I'm right now on 69 highway driving through McAllister, and traffic is going slow, which is what they should be doing, because they don't want to hydroplane cause a wreck, as there was about an hour ago on 69 and Peaceful Road, where a semi did not have enough time to stop, and it ran into the back of the car, which luckily that both passengers did not have serious injuries. So if you're out and about, no matter in the state of Oklahoma, whether you're dealing with ice or rain, please be driving carefully, as both types of weather can be dangerous.
Derrick James there in Eastern Oklahoma, really good advice. And I know, DJ, as you've kind of been driving around today, like you said, you've really been kind of driving around the McAllister area. So has it pretty much only been that you've been seeing really, we're talking about drainage basins, rivers that are kind of in the flood stage type criteria? Are you seeing any localized street flooding? I know you said maybe some minor street flooding, but again, how are the roads as you're driving through? I know you said some back county roads, but the actual major roads around the McAllister area, like the paved roads, are you seeing any flooding on those at all?
No, William, the major roads and the highways are fine. There is some standing water, and that's where you need to watch out for if you're driving highway speeds to not hydroplane.
Absolutely. And again, this is a fairly significant flooding event going on across eastern Oklahoma, folks. I mean, I know what we're talking about, all the wintry weather here in Oklahoma City and western Oklahoma, but for our friends over here in eastern Oklahoma, we have a lot of people in eastern Oklahoma, especially southeastern Oklahoma, that do either use our app or watch us here on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. I get your emails, so we're covering this for you folks as well. But again, this is a fairly significant, rainfall event going on, at least across parts of eastern Oklahoma. So again, Derrick James there in McAllister, we really appreciate that report right there. And again, like he said, a lot of the county roads, or really the back roads, so to speak, are flooded right now. And again, a lot of those rivers and some of those drainage basins, again, beginning to really kind of come over their banks, and they're flooded as well. And again, that's exactly why we're seeing all those flood warnings across that part of the state. Now, let's do this. DJ, again, we appreciate that there. Let's do this. Let's take a look at live temperatures here in central Oklahoma, first of all. And these are live numbers here, right? So here for Oklahoma County, 31 degrees. This is important here because, again, as we're tracking that wintry type precipitation, anything really above 32, it's going to be a cold rain. If you get below 32, that's when you're going to start seeing some freezing rain. And really the new development here over about the last hour, look at Shawnee, look at Chandler, you folks are now down to 32 as well. So really freezing rain possibility, at least, is now even out here across parts of Shawnee and even up here across parts of Lincoln County there, including the Chandler area and a swath of I-44 right there as well. So keep in mind, ice storm warning stops right here at central Oklahoma, but again, when you're at 32, you're basically at that transition point. It could still be a little bit of a cold rain, but there could also be a little bit of freezing precipitation mixed in right here as well. So we're tracking that very closely, again, as that freezing line moves just a little bit further to the east. It's not going to make much more forward progress. It's really going to hang right here around parts of central Oklahoma. But again, over the last hour, it has now moved into parts of really Chandler and also across parts of Shawnee as well. So again, frozen precipitation possible in those locations as well. As we take a look at live numbers up around the Tulsa metro, again, same thing. You're basically just looking for the freezing line. And again, really on the northern sides of Tulsa, really from Bartlesville, you kind of have to connect the dots here with the 32 numbers. But from Bartlesville down really just on, let's just say the eastern sides of Pawhuska there, back down through Oilton, and look at that, Chandler, then back down through Shawnee. Again, this whole area right here does have the opportunity for some type of frozen precipitation, I should say. So again, we are tracking this very closely. As we take a look at wind speeds, of course, these are also important. Just like we were talking about with Phillip McGee, of course, anytime those power lines become frozen, all it takes is a little bit of a wind gust to start whipping those around. That's when you start getting power outages. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with frozen type precipitation, it freezes up our instruments. So all the anemometers across parts of western, north central Oklahoma, the reason you're not seeing any data here, it's because the anemometers, the things that spin around, they're frozen solid. So as far as wind gusts go, the last report down here in north, we had a wind gust right around 10 miles per hour, but I have a feeling that anemometer was probably freezing up, so that's probably bad data there. But across eastern Oklahoma, you can see some wind gusts anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, and that's probably quite likely even there across parts of western Oklahoma as well. Now, these are live ground temperatures as well, okay? So this is the same thing. These numbers are updated every 5 minutes. This is also available on our website, oklahomaweathertracker.com, and also available on our mobile app as well. The one small piece of maybe saving grace here is, look at these ground temperature numbers. We're still talking about lower to mid 40s right here in central Oklahoma. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not still going to have some ice, especially on the bridges. And even again, on some of those roadways, some black ice is definitely possible. Again, slick and hazardous is what the Oklahoma Highway Patrol is right now reporting. Again, we definitely urge you not to get out on the roads at all tonight if you don't have to. Just play it safe. But again, at least the one piece of small saving grace here could be is that our ground temperatures are maybe just a little too warm to see a lot of accumulating ice on some of those roadways. So again, we don't want you to take that the wrong way and think you can get out and drive, because again, we still discourage it. But again, as we go through tonight into tomorrow, hopefully these warmer temperatures right there at the ground surface will help prevent some of that ice accumulating on some of those roadways. So as we take a look at radar estimated rainfalls, again, this is what DJ was talking about there in McAllister. Again, you can really just see this bullseye of heavy rain that's really been falling there across parts of eastern Oklahoma. Again, with those live rainfall amounts really anywhere from 3 to over 5 inches of rain. Look at Broken Bow now, they're almost going on 6 inches of rain. And look at Hugo. I know the logo is kind of there in the way there, but look at Hugo. Over 7 inches of rain, folks. This is within about 24 hours. 7 inches of rain there in the town of Hugo, right there along the Red River in far southeastern Oklahoma. That is impressive rainfall amounts, and again, that's what DJ was talking about across that part of the state. So, okay, let's go and talk about your forecast now. We've kind of talked about what's going on. Let's talk about what's going on as we look forward. This is the pinpoint timeline. And this is basically future weather, and we're going to walk you forward basically from 8 p.m. this evening all the way to 3 o'clock in the morning. This is where the computer estimates the rain is going to be and also what type of precipitation you're seeing. Keep in mind when you're seeing this purple, that's freezing rain, a little bit of pink, that's going to be some light sleet mixing into that freezing rain, and then of course the red, green, and yellows, that's all going to be moderately heavy rain. So let's go and put this into motion. Again, we're starting this at 8 p.m. this evening, and as we run it all the way through 3 o'clock in the morning, again, you can see that area of freezing rain really continues all through central Oklahoma. So again, we're talking about multiple hours of freezing rain. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean heavy rain, and it doesn't mean that we're going to have a lot of ice building up. But again, freezing rain will continue through the Oklahoma City metro, at least as we go through the overnight period. And the way it looks right now, even through the first part of tomorrow morning. And again, that heavy rain with the flooding potential still ongoing across eastern Oklahoma, even as we go through the overnight period there as well. So as we break it down here on my forecast map for tonight, again, this area of red, again, that's freezing rain. It's quite likely from the Oklahoma City metro down across southwestern Oklahoma, even north central Oklahoma. And again, where you're seeing this yellow, that's going to be a mix there. And again, some very light snow possible still out in the Oklahoma Panhandle. Again, as we look at eastern Oklahoma, again, heavy rain still ongoing across that part of the state. These are your overnight lows. Oklahoma City, we're going to get right down to around 30 degrees. So again, that's going to keep the precipitation frozen as we go through the overnight period. But as you can see, Tulsa down through McAllister, again, we're only talking about mid-30s, so it's going to be all liquid precipitation across that part of the state. And then it gets quite cold as you get out there to the Oklahoma Panhandle, Guyman, an overnight low of 24. So as we head into tomorrow, Saturday, of course, it's Bedlam Saturday. A lot of people, you're going to be trying to go up to Stillwater or maybe have some other plans as we go throughout the day tomorrow, Saturday. The one thing I can tell you, here in Oklahoma City, we're going to warm up to right around 34, 35 degrees as we go throughout the afternoon. That's going to move the freezing rain line back to the northwest. And really, as we go through the latter half of the afternoon, any kind of frozen precipitation up here in the red is going to be fairly light. But Oklahoma City, still some very light rain, scattered showers, maybe even some drizzle as we go through the latter half of the afternoon, but it will be in the form of liquid precipitation by afternoon. For the morning, still frozen, freezing rain, but by afternoon, liquid precipitation here in Oklahoma City with a high right around 34, 35 degrees. Stillwater, also scattered showers, cold rain, drizzle also possible as we go through tomorrow as well. We'll take a look at that Bedlam forecast here in just a second, and then across eastern Oklahoma, rain still continues over there, more flooding likely, and again, highs across that part of the state there in the lower to mid 40s. So here's your official Bedlam forecast again for tomorrow. Again, it looks like by the 7 p.m. kickoff in Stillwater, there could still be some cold rain showers around, a little bit of drizzle at kickoff, right around 37 degrees. By the fourth quarter, very close again to freezing, but it looks like right now we're going to be right around 35 degrees. Again, still with some very light drizzle possible, so it's going to be very cold, very wet for that Bedlam game, again up there in Stillwater, again kickoff 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. So as we take a look at your updated 10-day forecast, again, really as we go through tonight and through tomorrow, frozen precipitation tonight, changing over to light liquid precipitation by afternoon tomorrow. It may not be until mid-afternoon tomorrow that we actually get back above freezing here in central Oklahoma. Then as we head into Sunday, it looks like Saturday night into Sunday, we might have one more light round of freezing precipitation, but by Sunday, high of 38. And then as we head into Monday, very low chance of rain Monday morning, and again, temperatures moderating back there into the 40s. And then as we take a look at the extended forecast. We're really talking about a lot of 50s. We're going to warm it back up, a lot of sun there by midweek, and then as we get back into like day 9 and day 10 there of the 10-day forecast, that's when our next storm system could be approaching, but all liquid type precipitation with that storm system. So that's where we are, folks. Thanks so much for joining us here as for Oklahoma Weather Live. This is kind of Oklahoma Weather Live plus an Oklahoma Weather Alert all at the same time. Of course, we'll continue to have live radar updates as we go throughout the evening, and keep it here with Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for Oklahoma.